if we wanted to be able to have some good deer hunting in eastern North Carolina for the rest of our life, we just needed to buy some land. And one of the surgeons that I work with was going on a mission trip and needed some suture, so I told him I had plenty of suture he could have to take on his mission trip. He went on the trip and came back and said, "Hey, I noticed when I came over to your house you had a bunch of deer mounts and some fish mounts. Do you like to fish and hunt?" His name was Dr. Clement. And he informed me that he had a piece of property between the farm my wife and I lived at and the hospital, and he would take me by there and show it to me sometime and let me hunt and fish. So it sounded great. So one afternoon when he got back from his trip, he brought me out here, and the first thing I noticed was the fact that the gate was not locked. The property had a very old one-story, like 3-room, 1-bath house on it. So I asked Dr. Clement that day that he was bringing me around, "Have you ever thought about selling this place?" And he said, "Well, actually we thought about giving it away to the Boy Scouts." So my two partners, Jim Thompson and Doug McClung, and I asked Dr. Clement, I said, "Is there any chance that you would sell it to us and then you could give the money to the Boy Scouts?" And he said, "Well, let me get back with my partners." So 5 of them owned it, and I'll get you an answer. So he got back with me and said, "Yeah, we'll entertain selling it to you." Well, the other thing when I came out here the first time with him, I noticed was there was a lot of really pretty big mature white oak trees, because you have to realize out of 342 acres, basically only 24 acres were not wooded. 180 of that acres was mature white oaks, and so it was a mixture of different forests. So I asked Dr. Clement, "Do you care if I get my timber consultant to come look at the trees and the value of the trees?" And his answer was, "That's fine, as long as if you don't buy the property, you would share that information with us," which was perfect. We all went back to our wives and said, "Hey, I want to buy a farm." So I think each wife's reaction was, this is not really in our plans, but because we were able to use the timber money to pay for it, we paid almost half of it off. We were able to buy it without any money down. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity. But it's also important to note that all 3 families sacrificed a lot to be able to be sitting here today, because we paid the property off in 5 years. We fixed up the original house that came with the property, and we stayed in it for the first 5 years. I think my wife was the only wife that was willing to sleep in that house. And then after we paid the land off, all 3 families built individual houses. Our house has an extra special meaning because my wife and I and our kids, we actually took the time and effort to reclaim old barnwood and reclaim old heart pine flooring, and did the flooring ourselves, did the wainscoting ourselves. But looking back on the years, I know my wife would say it's one of her favorite places to come to now, but I'm sure that she did not have that idea in her head when we were just starting to have kids, and I came home and said, "Hey, I want to buy a farm." We have our own little fishing and hunting and recreational paradise, so it has very special meaning. It's been a huge blessing.